In medieval Scotland, one man dared to defy the most powerful king in Europe. He defeated armies, inspired an entire nation, and became the symbol of Scottish resistance. But in the end, he wasn't defeated on the battlefield. He was betrayed. This is the tragic story of William Wallace. In the late 1200s, Scotland was in crisis. Its king had died without a clear heir. Taking advantage of the chaos, the powerful English king, Edward I, stepped in. At first, he claimed he only wanted to help settle the dispute, but soon his true intention became clear. Edward wanted Scotland under English control. Scottish nobles were forced to swear loyalty to him. English soldiers filled Scottish castles. Taxes increased, and resentment grew across the land. Many Scots felt their country had been stolen, but one man refused to accept it. William Wallace was not a nobleman. He came from a relatively minor knightly family, yet he possessed something powerful: fierce determination and the ability to inspire others. In 1297, Wallace began leading small resistance attacks against English forces. At first, these were simple raids, but they quickly grew into something much larger. Farmers, villagers, and warriors began joining him. Soon the rebellion became impossible to ignore. And then came the battle that would make Wallace a legend. English forces marched north with a massive army. They believed crushing the rebellion would be easy, but Wallace had a different plan. At the narrow Stirling Bridge, he waited patiently. As English soldiers began crossing the bridge, Wallace gave the signal. Scottish forces attacked suddenly. The cramped crossing turned into chaos for the English army. Unable to maneuver, they were overwhelmed. The victory shocked England, and William Wallace became a national hero. But victories create attention, and attention creates enemies. King Edward I was furious. To him, Wallace was not just a rebel, he was a threat to royal authority. So Edward prepared a massive response. In August 1298, he personally led a powerful English army into Scotland. At the Battle of Falkirk, Wallace faced the king's forces. This time, the English army was prepared. Archers rained arrows upon the Scottish formations. The battle ended in defeat for Wallace. But even after the loss, Wallace refused to surrender. He continued fighting in secret. At this point, many expected Wallace to fade into history, but the real danger was not on the battlefield. It was among his own people. Because the greatest threat to a leader is rarely the enemy outside, it's betrayal from within. For years, Wallace avoided capture. English forces hunted him across Scotland, but in 1305, a Scottish knight named John de Menteith made a fateful decision. Instead of protecting Wallace, he betrayed him. Wallace was captured near Glasgow and handed over to the English. For Edward I, this was the moment he had been waiting for. The rebellion's symbol was finally in his hands. Wallace was taken to London. There he was placed on trial for treason. The accusation was simple. He had rebelled against the King of England. But Wallace gave a famous reply. He said he could not be a traitor because he had never sworn loyalty to the English king. To Wallace, he had only defended Scotland, but the verdict had already been decided. In August 1305, William Wallace was executed in London. The punishment was meant to send a message to anyone who dared rebel. But something unexpected happened. Instead of crushing the spirit of the Scottish people, Wallace's death strengthened it. His story spread across Scotland. His courage inspired new leaders, and eventually Scotland would continue its fight for independence. William Wallace's life reminds us that history is not only shaped by kings and armies, sometimes it is shaped by individuals who refuse to accept injustice, even when the cost is everything. And sometimes the greatest tragedy is not defeat in battle, but betrayal by those who should have stood beside you. True leadership often attracts both loyalty and betrayal, but courage and conviction can echo through history long after betrayal fades into memory.